Hello once again everyone. It's a nice quiet evening in here and I'm in the mood for some classic Doom shenanigans. Today we're doing episode 11, which is special for two reasons. First, 11 is a prime number. I like that. And second, it's the episode after the special number 10, which I did last time. And I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone for all the comments you left. Really enjoyed reading them and replying to them. And I'm glad you enjoyed this journey through some of those obscure map details in Doom, Doom 2, and even Final Doom this time. Who knows, maybe we'll visit it again someday. But now we're delving into something a bit more mysterious and old. In fact, it's kind of ancient even. So when Doom released on December 10th, 1993, it was a game consisting of 3 episodes, or a trilogy as some texts described it, which consisted of a total of 27 maps. Coincidentally, or maybe not, 27 is also the number of levels in Doom 3, by the way. So, some of these 27 maps were already seen by some of the people who had played the early Doom alphas. They appeared in them in the form of very early unfinished versions, but other maps didn't appear in the alphas because they were made later in the development cycle of Doom. For example, E1M1 is one such map. There is also a third category of maps, and that's the one I'm interested in today. These are the maps that appeared in the early alphas, but then didn't make it into the final game. These are the maps that were lost to history. Before we dive into those mysterious alphas, there are a few things you should know about them. First of all, a few words about their version numbers. Here you can see a quick scheme. These are the pre-release versions of Doom that we have available nowadays. The oldest one being so simple and primitive that it's basically a tech demo, then followed by a pre-alpha, 2 alphas, and the press release beta, which looks almost like the final game, and it includes 3 levels which are early but almost finished versions of E2, M2, E3, M5 and E1, M2. Almost identical to their final maps, with some differences here and there, like some additional rooms or rooms found in the final game that are missing. And of course they include some weird items that we won't find in the final games, like treasure items. Oh, and the E3M5 of the press release beta features the infamous Lost Souls with a hit scan attack, which can only be found in that version. Thankfully, they were removed before the final release. Another thing to know is that these old versions are quite unfinished and so not exactly playable. They are only useful for experimentation, exploration, if you're a Doom nerd who likes to dig through this sort of historical stuff. And last but not least, none of these pre-release versions have sound or music in them. So today's video is going to be a bit more quiet than usual. Apologies for that. So where should we start? I guess we can start with the 0.2 alpha, which is really a tech demo. I was not sure if I was going to include it, because the map that it comes with is so small, so primitive and so simple that it can barely be considered a map. However, it does have tremendous historical significance. This is probably the oldest Doom map that has ever reached us. In some ways it's the beginning before the beginning. It's the forefather of all Doom maps that have ever been made. and as such I think it deserves some attention. Of course, don't expect something very fancy, because it isn't. So let's jump into the DOS box now and take a look at this ancient Doom build, the 0.2 build. Oh, by the way, the IWAD for this version is really small. You can probably see here it's less than 500 kilobytes, and it's released on February the 4th, 1993. Yeah, these version numbers usually coincide with the month in which this build was made. Anyway, let's jump into it. So yeah, as you can see, it definitely says tech demo. There is no ambiguity about this. It also says if you have a copy of this, you're naughty. Well, I have a copy of this, so I guess I am naughty. Oh, we also see the game's original subtitle, Evil Unleashed. Yeah, the full name of the game was going to be Doom, Evil Unleashed. And those id Software logos you see in the lower corners, they're actually taken from Wolfenstein 3D. Yep. And here it is, the tech demo map. As you can see, very simple, although we do have non-orthogonal walls, which was a major breakthrough at the time. I mean, Wolf 3D only had walls at 90-degree angles. So this is already an improvement, and those textured floors and ceilings, also an improvement. Here we see a pinky. Notice that it has some animations which don't exist in the final game. Also, the eyes have a slightly different color, I think. Well, the skin is also, I don't know, maybe it's a slightly different hue of pink, I'm not sure. And finally, there's a lonely barn here. Mostly similar to the final version. There may be some small details different, but I can't see them. So yeah, technically this is a map lost to history, although it's really so small and so simple that it's barely even a map. But considering its historical significance, it's the closest thing we Doom fans have to some kind of holy ground where everything started. Alright, next comes the pre-alpha version 0.3. The interesting thing about it is that it was considered lost for a long time. It was thought that it was either distributed to a very limited number of people, or that maybe it didn't even exist at all. However, a few years ago it was found and finally shared online, and that's how I have it today. And well, anyone can experience it. So the WAD file is getting bigger, it's almost 2 megabytes now. Okay, that sounds promising. So this version contains 2 maps that have become lost to history. Before we explore them, let's take a very quick look at the pre-alpha itself, just to see what it offers. Whoa, special effects overload! It says alpha, but I think the readme file says pre-alpha. That's why I'm calling it like this. Spinning Planet story, yeah, that's something that's supposed to be here but isn't finished yet. I think Tom Hall was still at id Software at the time, so many of his ideas can still be seen. Okay, so let's take a quick look. Level 1, and what do we have here? Doom guy is playing cards with his friends. If you've ever read the Doom Bible, which is like the original design document written by Tom Hall, you probably know that that's how the game was originally supposed to start. You are playing cards with your friends when the demonic invasion happens, and that's what's going on in this room. But where is this room anyway? This place looks vaguely familiar. Yeah, there's something Very familiar about this place. Do you recognize it? Well, maybe if I explore around a little bit, you will realize what level this is. Long corridor. Some pinkies, still having those animations that are missing in the final game. Some imps. Notice that instead of a pistol we have some kind of rifle. Just like the zombie men have a rifle. Is it starting to look more familiar? Ooh, lockers. If I come here... Okay, now this you should be able to recognize. So this map is E2M7, spawning vats. And yes, it was originally supposed to be the first level of the game. Amazing, isn't it? And yeah, some glitches in the walls, like the texture rendering engine is acting up. Yeah, this happens a lot in those early alphas. And here's an exit, though it doesn't work. Let's take a quick look at the other maps. Number 2 is an early version of E2M2. Yeah, this is the place where... Yeah, which goes to the exit. This is the crate maze, which is quite recognizable, even now. Though of course it's a pretty early version, so it's quite unfinished, but hey, the crate texture is the same texture as in the final game. There's the yellow key door, though there's nothing in here. Number 3. Oh, that's an early version of E2M3, a refinery. Yeah, notice this texture. It doesn't exist in the final game. Here's the slime pit, although there is no slime. It's not ready yet. Okay, number 4. Nothing, it's a placeholder level, another placeholder. Well, you know, this placeholder could technically be considered a lost map. Maybe. 7 placeholder, 8. Ooh, it's E1M2. Though of course a pretty early version. This entire area here is missing. There's supposed to be a green armor here, instead there's some hallways. Yeah, nothing really interesting here. And 9 is yet another placeholder. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual lost maps. So the first one is called the store, and we start it like this. We type in the command doom the store. And here we are, a map that never made it into the final game. And it really looks like a store, and there are even some kind of storekeepers here, represented by voodoo dolls. Now, the Doom Bible mentions a storekeeper's office, and the storekeeper is supposed to dispense material. Now, I don't know exactly how the storekeeper was supposed to operate. There aren't many details in the Doom Bible. Maybe it was a missing NPC, like you would only find his body. Maybe it was a living NPC that would give you stuff when interacting with him. Or maybe even, although that's a pretty bold suggestion, you could buy stuff with some sort of currency from the storekeeper, the way you can in Strife. If you've played Strife, you know what I mean. If you haven't played it, there are some merchants in that game, and you collect gold coins and can buy weapons, armor, medkits and other stuff from these guys. Is it possible that Doom could have featured something like that? I don't know. Perhaps only Tom Hall knows, but yeah, this is the store. That's the whole map, this room. And we'll never know for sure what was supposed to happen in here. The other lost map is called Sean 2, whatever that means. It's a relatively big map with a lot of rooms. Most of the rooms are empty, though a few of them contain some interesting stuff. Well, I hope I can find them, because it's slightly maze-like. Here's something different. There is a pit with imps here. I don't know why, but it somewhat reminds me of the room with imps in Doom 2, map 8, Tricks and Traps. It kinda resembles it, although it could be just a coincidence. Also notice how the clipping is not quite working yet, so you can just climb this tall ledge by touching it. But hey, I'm sure Carmack was working on it at the time it was going to be finished in the next alpha release. There are a few more interesting areas around here, I think. Ah yeah, here's some kind of room that I can't enter. There is an invisible wall for some reason. I don't know. Then there is something like a kitchen around here somewhere. I'll try to find it. Oh, there it is. Wow, these textures are so high res. Just look at them. Ooh, HD quality right here. So yeah, this seems to be some kind of living quarters, maybe for the Space Marines. I don't know, textures are glitching again, but yeah, that's pretty common in these versions. You get used to it. So yeah, that's the map as a whole. Rooms, rooms, rooms. Well, apparently there were going to be more details added to them later, but we can't see them here. So yeah, that's what we can see in 0.3. Next we can go to a more proper alpha, 0.4. Oh, and I just noticed that Sean Green is mentioned here on the screen as a supporter, so Sean 2 may be referring to him. Maybe he made this map? I don't know. Watch out for more great games from id Software coming soon. That's id, not ID. Yeah, that's some important information right here. Now, the 0.4 version has some slightly more detailed maps, so as a whole it's more interesting to explore. There are once again 2 lost maps here, and again, before we take a look at them, we'll just quickly explore this alpha to see what it has to offer. Ooh, the WAT file is more than 2.5 megabytes now. It's growing! That's the same spinning intro. Once again this menu. Map 1. Here we are again in E2M7, but this time with more detail. Even the playing cards seem slightly more detailed now. Ooh, there are even items here, some kind of bullet clip, chairs that we haven't seen in the final version. They didn't make it. Oh, here we see a bunch of signs. If you watched my previous video, you may remember me talking about there being a number of signs on the walls in the pre-releases, similar to the red one in E2M6. Ooh, there's definitely more detail here this time around. Keep in mind, this is the last time E2M7 is going to be the first level. In the next release, we'll be looking at another E1M1, and it's a unique one. Oh, an ammo box which is copied from Spear of Destiny. They give you 25 bullets in that game. A switch, though it doesn't work. A slightly different shotgun. Yeah, as you see, the graphics is not quite the one from the final version. This room should be familiar. This corridor also. Oh, do you see this weird thing in the corner here? That's a stim pack. Well, an early stim pack. Some kind of syringe. So weird. Okay, so the map is becoming a lot more recognizable. The pinkies still have those weird hand animations. I guess they were removed at a later stage, like when the game was close to finishing. UAC logo, which is kind of different from the final one. And yeah, this is a familiar place. Again, the lockers here. Some more imps, the storage room. A really weird texture that looks like bubble wrap. The storage room. And this leads to the outdoor area. Oh, wait, actually it's not an outdoor area yet. In this version it's still indoor. Anyway, let's take a look. Map 2, it's E2M2 again. Though it's becoming slightly more detailed. Now let's take a look here. Oh yeah, a lot of glitchy textures around this place. Map 3 is... oh, E2M3 again. This time there is slime, though it looks different from the final slime. Yeah, it glows in a peculiar way. This is the slime pit, and notice there is a bridge here that you can walk on. In the final version you have to run through the slime itself, and you often take damage while you do that. Not very nice. Number 4. Oh, it's E1M7. Well, an early iteration of it anyway. Still quite recognizable. Oh, though this room is quite different. Yeah, the slime is here. Well, the pillar that walrus is not here yet. But yeah, as a whole, it looks like itself. Oh, that's clearly E1M6. Yeah. Though, yeah, there are some pretty apparent differences here. Okay, what else? What is this? Oh, it's some unfinished placeholder thingy. Maybe it's a lost map after all. Ooh, that's E1M4, but it looks so rough right now. Oh, even the textures are not properly aligned. And these barrels, they're from Wolf 3D, but with different colors. Ooh, chainsaw. The game is definitely advancing at this point. And here's some locker rooms. Yeah, you've probably heard that in the pre-releases, the architecture of the maps generally tended to be a bit more realistic. You know, that was Tom Hall's design philosophy. He tried to make the levels look like real locations, unlike Sandy Peterson, who usually designs some pretty abstract locations that we try to make some sense of, but usually we can't. Okay, what else? Oh, 8, E1M2 again. Nice. And 9, oh, do you recognize this? E3M3, Pandemonium. Although in this alpha it's a high-tech lab, not some kind of hellish fortress. Although these two guard posts or whatever they are survived until the final version of the map. And here we see more of those signs. Anyway, let's take a look at the lost maps themselves. So we start them like this, E1M10. This is supposed to be the observatory, or at least that's the most educated guess we can make. According to the Doom Bible, the observatory was invaded by the demons pretty quickly, and they brought a lot of their treasures into this place. And by treasures I mean stuff like blood receptacles, sacrificial daggers, unholy Bibles, this sort of stuff, the treasure items that existed in those alpha releases. So this is actually a very, very small map. It's quite unfinished. Somebody started it, I think John Romero started it, but never finished it. So it's a it's a stub of a lost map. Up, textures are glitching again. And yeah, that's it. This room here and these pathways that go back to the start of the map. Nice window here, demonstrating the Doom engine's capabilities. And yeah, that's it. I know it's disappointing, but oh, look, some nice details here, these support pillars or whatever they are. It's a genuine lost map. And the other one is E1M11. It's slightly bigger. According to information from the Doom Bible, it's supposed to be Supply Depot 1, and it definitely looks like some kind of storage area. At some point we'll find some crates as well. I think the description in the Doom Bible mentions that there would be a crate maze with demonic traps in it. I don't know, maybe monster closets. I'm not sure what Tom Hall meant by that. I can't jump down there. Yeah, in the early alpha versions you can't jump from a higher ledge. For some reason Doom guy is afraid to jump in this game. It's not like he takes falling damage or anything. Ooh, it's dark in here. We're demonstrating the engine's different light level capabilities. Nice. And some kind of corridor. Ooh, it's kind of creepy in here, probably because it's so lonely. There are no items here at all, so it's quite unfinished. So yeah, as you can see, it's mostly empty hallways and rooms. Well, it was supposed to be some kind of storage area with crates, probably a lot of supplies to be found. Oh, here are the crates. Yeah, I hope I don't run into any demonic traps. Ooh, and slime room, and the ceiling is slime too. Ooh, how weird. Did Sandy make this? Anyway, jokes aside, that's what we can find out in 0.4. As I mentioned a bit earlier, this was the last time we see spawning VATs playing the role of the first level. In version 0.5 we get a completely new E1M1, but it's not the one we have in the final game made by John Romero. No, it's a completely different E1M1, which I believe was designed by Tom Hall, which never made it into the final version, thus becoming a lost map. So, the WAT file is now slightly more than 3.5 megabytes, definitely growing. By the time the game was officially released in December, I think the WAT file became about 8 or 9 megabytes inside, or no wait, yeah, somewhere between 5 and 9 megabytes, I don't remember exactly. Anyway, this time we won't have to use any special commands because the lost map is the very first one. Okay, we start a new game. Oh, we already have difficulty levels, except Nightmare, of course, because as you probably know if you've watched my other videos, Nightmare difficulty wasn't added into the game until patch 1.2, which was released in, was it February? Like in February 1994, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it was in early 1994. Until then, Ultra Violence was the highest difficulty. So here we are, E1M1. We immediately get the keys, because it's just a test map. There's a switch. Oh, it's a secret actually. Well, it's hidden behind a switch, so it's not much of a secret. Here's some pickup, though I'm not sure what it is. It kind of looks like a flask. I don't know what it does. It's one of those weird alpha things that cannot be explained. So anyway, as you see, the table with the cards is gone now. This is definitely a new place. Okay. Oh, and if you shoot the enemies now, they disappear. I guess that's an improvement. Here's a room with some pillars and a window looking at some kind of outdoor area. Although it's really hard to say if this murky darkness outside is a sky texture or a ceiling. It's hard to say. Oh, but I notice how the gun is swaying from left to right. It looks a little awkward. Here we have a slime pool, which works, by the way. See, I'm losing health pretty slowly. Oh, now suddenly faster. Oh, here we have a medkit from Wolf 3D. Well, clearly it's a placeholder, but it works as a medkit. These textures are familiar, they appear in the final game, and they still say the planet name is Taitanga. That was the planet where Doom was supposed to take place in the Doom Bible. And that's the end, actually. There's some kind of pedestal here, but yeah, it's a very short map, but it's a completely unique one. And it became a lost map at some point. It was cut altogether. Oh, and look, the exit area is designed to look like an airlock of some kind. Here we see a texture that doesn't appear in the final game. And to exit we use this switch. Oh, here we see the unfinished intermission screen. And in the upper left corner you can see the observatory which we visited in 0.4. It was E1M10, the small unfinished thing. And of course there's the anomaly, which is the final level. And someone made a note here. Oops, perspective, I guess. We have some level names like quarters, I guess. SD, I'm not sure what SD is. Han is hangar. Rec is probably a recreation area. Lab, it's laboratory, obviously. Where is warehouse. Contra is control center. Com is com tower. POW, probably power. Yeah. And now we find ourselves in another iteration of E2M2. Although it looks considerably more finished this time. There are even enemies. Well, the crate maze is a bit smaller than it should be. Yeah, but that's okay. Oh, and you can collide with the monsters now. They aren't ghosts anymore. Oh, this is a treasure, some kind of demonic gem. It's described in the Doom Bible. Once again, I can't jump from here. I actually have to use the stairs. Doom guy still has very sensitive legs, it seems. Poor Doom guy. Oh, yellow key door. I should be able to open it. Oh, this looks almost like the finished area. Although the 3 computers or whatever they are here don't exist yet. Do these open? No, they don't. And the window looking into the other area doesn't exist, probably because the other area itself doesn't exist yet. But it does in the press release beta. It's just a bit different, like the doors are positioned in a different way from the one we know nowadays. Ooh, does this work? Oh, it actually does. Nice. This is an elevator, not a staircase. These things work. Ooh, the yellow key thingy. But it has buttons this time around. Yeah, you raise the bridge with buttons here, not with, walking through the slime and waiting for something to pop up underneath your boots. Some weird textures here. That's where the exit is supposed to be, but no exit. Also no crushers. Instead some weird pillars next to the walls. And we're getting to the area with the blue key, although in this case it's a yellow key. Here we see that small window and the switch. If you watched one of my previous videos, you may remember I showed you how the blue key door used to be switch operated. And the window was put here so that you can see the door opening. But it was changed to a blue key door in patch 1.2. And for some reason I can't go through this door. There is an invisible wall. Anyway, let's take a look at map 3. Oh, it's E2M3 and it looks pretty finished. Here we see that mysterious texture with the valves. Let's take a look at the slime pit. It still has a bridge. Why did they remove it? Oh. But yeah, it was considerably safer to cross than it is nowadays. Here we see some more wolf 3D barrels, and they disappear. I guess they were supposed to be explosive barrels. Map 4 is E1M7 again, with very little improvement since last time. The outdoor area is missing altogether. Yeah, I don't see many changes around here. This is E3M3 again, Pandemonium, and it's still a laboratory. Still very high tech. And these walkways already exist, although in the final game there is no ceiling, you can see the sky, and of course the walls are fleshy, not machines. Okay, we're going to, I mean 6. Now this is interesting. Do you recognize this place? This secret here? Oh, these are blood receptacles, a treasure type. Didn't make it into the final game. Does it look familiar? It's a Doom 2 map actually. It's map 10, a refueling base. And yes, it was included in this alpha. And yes, it was supposed to be in Doom 1, but somehow it ended up in Doom 2. It's the only Tom Hall map in Doom 2. Yeah, this is supposed to be an outdoor area, but perhaps sky textures weren't fully programmed yet, so it's not really an outdoor place. Yeah, for the most part it's quite finished. Yeah, even some of the little details here are already placed, so they just did a bit of touching up and the map was ready to be included in Doom 2. Yeah, this area is pretty much the way it's supposed to be. And this room in here. Well, some details are missing, but yeah, for the most part it's almost done. And yeah, this dark place here. Okay, 7. What is 7? Ooh, I think that's E1M4 again, this time looking a bit better. Because last time it was pretty rough. It looks almost like the finished map. Ooh, there are even some elevators here. And we need them because in this version, as you remember, you can't jump. So even when you go down, you have to use the elevator. That's the room with the blue key. Here's the room with the swastika, although in this version it's not a swastika. Oh, it actually is. But it doesn't lower. Oh, how controversial of you, id Software. Okay, map 8 is E1M2 again. And this time this area here exists, though without windows and without the outdoor portion. And finally map 9. Oh, it's E1M6 again. Still pretty different, like these areas to the left and right are quite different from what we saw before. Yeah, anyway, I think we're done here. So yeah, there's also the press release beta, but it doesn't have any lost maps in it, so not much point in exploring it. It just has like slightly earlier versions of 3 levels from the final game. The only interesting thing to see is the hit scanning Lost Soul, but we'll leave that for another time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this journey through the mysteries of ancient Doom history. It's a topic I've wanted to do for quite some time, but kept postponing it for one reason or another, and I'm glad I finally did it. It's really cool to see you know, these lost maps. There's something like a what could have been sort of thing. So yeah, for devoted Doom fans, this should be pretty interesting. And perhaps some modders can use these lost maps as a foundation for something of their own. I don't know. Anyway, this was episode 11. I hope you liked it. It's shorter than the previous one. I don't want to exhaust you too much. So, see you next time, and goodbye for now.